Hi, everyone. So as you may or may not know, we now have a Lightboard in the math department. So in this video, I want to give you a small introduction to its capabilities, how it can be used, how it is used. And then if that's something that interests you, I'll have a little bit of information later on about how you can get started using the Lightboard yourself. So in its most basic sense, a whiteboard is essentially like a whiteboard. So I can write things on here. So maybe I'm teaching Math 2240. My name is Dr. Quinn Morris. Right. And what you can't exactly see from where you are is that I'm not doing something special. I'm not writing this backwards. I'm writing this so that it looks totally normal to me. And it's the camera and the setup takes care of mirroring everything so that you can see it perfectly. You'll also notice that I have some things overlaid on the screen here. So Lightboard 101 and the Department of Mathematical Sciences logo. That's not something that's happening sort of in editing at the end. You're going to see several things as we go throughout. That's all done with PowerPoint. So it's actually a fairly quick setup. And again, just like a whiteboard, whatever I write on here, I can erase. Obviously, the things that are displayed on the PowerPoint, I can't just erase off the screen, although I could edit the PowerPoint as I go if I wanted to. All right, so the first thing you might wonder is, well, where is this whiteboard? So the whiteboard is currently located in Walker 242A. Be careful, there's a Walker 242 and a Walker 242A. The whiteboard is in 242A. Susie Arnholt would probably not be very happy if you just started wandering into 242. And for the time being, it's still keyed with its own individual key. So it'll be locked if you try to just wander in there. But that's currently where the Lightboard is located. It takes up about the whole room. Again, things you sort of can't see. Immediately where I'm writing here, there's just essentially a large sheet of plexiglass. Behind me, there's a black backdrop, which again, you can't really see. And then in front of me are two monitors, so I can see what's being displayed. So, for example, I can easily point up here to the where, because I can see, even though it doesn't appear on the whiteboard in front of me, I can see on the monitor in front of me where it's located. So it takes up pretty much the whole space in the room. And our hope is that eventually we'll have sort of things set up where you could just reserve the room. You could come in and you could use the Lightboard, record things, whatever you need to do. All right, so again, what can the Lightboard do? So again, I'll just emphasize you've sort of seen a couple of functionalities already. I don't have to have any overlay. So right now I have this overlay that says capabilities. I don't have to have that. I can just use the whiteboard. And so you can write lots of things on here, which you can maybe sort of see. So these are just essentially neon dry erase markers. So again, you write on it just like you would a dry erase board. So, you could come in here and you could say, draw a graph of some function. Maybe you're teaching calculus 1 and you're maybe wanting to talk a little bit about I don't know, the critical points of a function, right? So, you could emphasize that, you have critical points here and here. You'll already notice that some colors show up a little better than others. So for example, this sort of color that is sort of a bluish purple, the darker the color, essentially the less likely it is to show up. And particularly if I'm not careful and I stand in front of it, right, or behind it really, it can be a little hard to see. But again, we have any number of colors you can choose from to illustrate things on the board. Again, if you're just using it as a whiteboard, you just come in and erase. It is, I will say, a little bit more difficult maybe than erasing a normal dry erase board. In particular, you want to make sure to get it fairly clean so that it doesn't leave any smudges that you're looking through for the rest of the recording. Of course, you can use overlays, so I could do something similar, right? So here I've just built a picture of a function, right? So I've already got that pulled up. Of course, you could do more complicated things. I just sort of generally made a set of axes and a squiggle. What's a little more challenging if you choose to go this route is now if I want to locate the critical points, again, I don't actually see this on the board in front of me. I can just see on a monitor in front of me where these things are, but you can practice and get, not too bad. So there's one critical point. Maybe there's sort of another one. And so I could say, okay, here and here are my critical points. So again, not necessarily perfect, but you can do a pretty good job. This is partially more challenging too, because the picture is kind of small here. Obviously, the bigger you make things, the easier it will be to approximately locate those. Okay. All right, so I think a good question then would be, how might I use this, right? One obvious use, and one thing we're hoping people will use it for, I know many of you record videos for classes. You could certainly, reserve the room and use it to record a lecture. Let's say you're doing a flipped model, or you're just going to be out of class one particular day. Our hope is you could reserve the room, you could record your class. Again, another piece you can't see, I'm running all of this off my laptop. I'm recording this through Zoom. You may not believe me, but the setup is incredibly easy. I plug in one thing to my computer and I essentially just use this as the camera in Zoom, and everything works flawlessly. So that's certainly one thing we could use it for. Another thing we're hoping that folks might be interested in using it for is recording some content that could go up on our social media accounts. So for example, maybe you want to record a brief 2 to 3 minute video talking about a favorite math problem of yours, or talking maybe a little bit about how you got into math, those sorts of things that we could post on our social media accounts. These sorts of videos are very well received, particularly amongst our students and alumni. So we're hoping, and you'll get more contact from me about that, but we're hoping some of you would be willing to do that. Another thing that some publishers are starting to do are, if you have a paper accepted with some journals now, they will actually invite you to submit a video sort of giving an overview of the paper. And so this would be a really great way to do that in a slightly more interactive way than, say, just recording your face or recording just you writing on an iPad. There's something a little more professional about the production of it, and it's really not that much more difficult. So again, we're hoping that people will take advantage of that. So this is just meant to be a brief video showing you some of the capabilities. If you are interested in learning more about how to use the Lightboard, I'll be holding a couple of training sessions early in the semester. You can find the dates of those in the email attached to which this message is attached. And I'm also happy to answer any questions you may have one-on-one about the Lightboard.